Welcome everybody to our Circadia Menopause Balance and Restore webinar. We're just letting the room fill up. There's people piling in from all over the country, really, and we'll get started here in just about 1 minute. But go ahead and pop into the chat and tell us where you're from. Say hi. Say hello to our Circadia family here. Make sure you can see us all. Let's see. I think I need to make sure you guys can all send to everyone. But let me work on that for a second here. Attendees can chat with everyone. There we go. Now you should be able to see other people's stuff. Awesome. Texas, Savannah, Chicago, Oregon, Indiana, Hawaii. All right. So cool. I love seeing the Circadia family and where you're all from. Well, we know your time is valuable. So we're going to get started. We're really excited about this today. I have Savannah, our global educator, elite, super status, fantastic. She's so amazing at what she does. And we're going to let her kind of take over the presentation and talk all about the Circadian Menopause Balance and Restore Facial. And then I'll come back on at the back end and show you guys some ideas on how you guys can promote it and market it. So Savannah, take it away.
Hi guys, thank you so much, Jake. I'm so excited to be doing this. When I was presented with the opportunity to talk to you guys about the menopause facial that's been in the works for a long time, I could not turn the opportunity down. Menopause is something that, of course, I haven't quite gone through yet. However, I see a lot of clients that suffer from the side effects of things that we just can't avoid with our hormones. And I've gone on my own hormone journey as well, just trying to find balance and working through different side effects and things from medications. And I'm just excited to jump into it. So, we are going to be going through a little bit of a tease on just education based around menopause and how that affects the skin, as well as digging deep into the protocol itself. So, first and foremost, we have to go over what this encyclopedia might be. So, you're going to hear me using different verbiage throughout this time that we have today. And these next few slides are going to tell you about what I'm speaking about. So, if you want to snap a quick picture of this, highly recommend doing so. Okay, and then the next one. Estrogen and progesterone are going to be things that you hear me say quite a bit. So, having a good baseline understanding of what both of those hormones do for the body is important as well. But what is menopause? What is this phase of life that we as women have to go through? And at its core, menopause is actually only one day. We are either getting through and starting stages of perimenopause, we have menopause for a day, and then we are postmenopausal. But all of those stages, especially leading up to and going through perimenopause, the body experiences a lot of change, specifically in the brain, because that's where a lot of our hormones are going to be stemming from or having their main part of how they get differentiated through the body and the skin. So what happens is it's a natural life stage, right? We can't avoid it, but we can make it less aggressive, especially on the skin. And it is when we have confirmation of after 12 consecutive months of no menstrual cycle. Once we hit that 12th month consecutively, that day is when that menopause is like, okay, we are here and now we're postmenopausal. That national average age is around 51, but what is it doing to the body? What are those side effects that I'm talking about? So, very specifically, your estrogen and progesterone are going to skyrocket downwards. They're plummeting beyond depths of just the roller coaster of emotions that we have in general that we've become accustomed to while going through our cycles. Once we hit puberty, and then we have a cycle, and then we deal with all of those changes, and then perimenopause and menopause hits where our estrogen and progesterone start to decline. Now, that's not only going to affect in internal, right? So that's going to affect external, which is what we're dealing with the skin. Also the hair, it does affect that as well. but it's going to affect mood. It's going to affect every aspect of a woman's life, especially when it comes to trying to figure out what's really going on. Why is this happening? All of a sudden, we're super dry systemically, not just in our face. What's causing that? We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. On top of the dryness, we have accelerated collagen loss. We have so much of our collagen that is depleted within that time period of perimenopause. When we start to lose that estrogen so rapidly, so many other things start to decline with it, and laxity is one of them. So, within a time period, of course, after we hit our 20s, we start to lose 1% of collagen every year. But then once we hit that age of perimenopause, it starts to rapidly decline. So if you have clients that come in and say, I just don't know what is going on, all of a sudden I feel like my makeup is settling into my face really weird. I have these jowls that are starting to happen. My forehead has so much movement. What is going on? That is going to be a telltale for you to start that conversation about medications, what's happening externally, possibly hot flashes, what's changing in their day to day life to give you some telltales on what might be causing the rapid decline in that laxity. Of course, we want to tread on the conversation carefully of like, have we started the change yet? That gives a very 90s doctor's office type of conversation and sometimes creates an unsafe space for the client, right? So we want to make sure we're asking intentional questions to get the answers we're looking for without having to prompt them to give information that they may not be super comfortable to share with you yet. Building that trust happens in many different ways, and in your consultation is where that really starts. Once you start building the trust, then they're willing to buy product. They're going to book treatment packages from you and divulge more information that you may be a little apprehensive on asking outright, those open-ended questions. So why does it matter? Why does it matter to you to know what menopause is, what it looks like in the skin? Because it's going to create a shift and a pivot in the treatment room for you on how you're treating the skin. A lot of times, clients will come in and they will say, I really want to peel. I want this pigmentation to go away, or I need that microneedling treatment because I have to get some kind of bounce back in my skin. Okay, well, we have to work up to that, right? We have to understand the journey that their skin has taken and what that might mean from an internal perspective, like understanding where they are in their cycle, menopausal or not, and then choosing from that how their barrier is going to respond to what you do. So, when you approach this conversation in particular, but consultation in general, from a personalized skincare and personalized treatment experience perspective, you're going to have so much more value in that conversation. We're going to go over a few of these things here as far as assessing that hormonal stage and really looking at those symptoms. And then I want you to understand what it means in your skin analysis to assess that collagen and elasticity loss, assess what that hydration level is, identifying where that inflammation is stemming from and what those redness patterns look like. Is it blotchy? Is it mainly just in that T-zone area? Is it just in the cheeks? What causes it? Asking again those open-ended questions. Where do you find the patterns in your life that create these effects in your skin? You may ask, does this happen when you get out of the shower? Are you more warm in the morning or in the evening time? The reason those questions matter is because evening and morning time, your hormones are at different levels. Different hormones are doing different things. And when it's out of whack, when nothing is balanced, which is primarily what happens during that menopausal stage, you're going to have different answers. You may have a client that says, I've always been cold at night, but now I can't even have a blanket on when I go to sleep. Okay, that's going to give you a telltale that there are some differences happening in fluctuation in those hormones. Now, are they seeing the redness during that time, or are they seeing redness different times during the day? If it is different times, it might not be a temperature related thing, but more so a diet related issue or inflammatory digestion tract, which also can stem from hormones as well. That falls into understanding those lifestyles and triggers. And then, of course, reviewing that skincare they're already doing. What treatments have they had in the past? What's their current home care routine? Things like that. We always want to give that validation. Client comes in super flustered, the traffic was terrible, they're 2 minutes past their appointment start time, and they're so scared to make you start running behind, or they're usually 10 minutes early and they're just super flustered. Especially if it's a first time client, we always want to give grace when we can. We always want to give grace and patience as well. But giving the validation and letting them know that they're seen and heard and especially valued is important during this time period, more so arguably than any other time in their life, because they don't understand what's going on a lot of the time, because there's not a lot of education out there for us on how to navigate menopause, what could be creating these side effects. Their mood may be changing for the first time. How rapidly or not rapidly, that's going to vary, but that's going to be a deciding factor on the type of treatment you may give them as well. You may have had a peel down for their treatment that day, but if they need something a little more relaxing, maybe you pivot to doing even this protocol that we're going to talk about today with the balance and restore. It may be something a little less aggressive where they have time to get themselves back to a grounded state where they can take a full deep breath and not be super stressed out and having to go. And also making sure they are aware that they're not alone in what they feel. They're not alone in how they are feeling those hot flashes, what their skin is doing, giving them the validation that you're seeing multiple clients that are having the same concerns makes them feel a lot less isolated. And giving them a long-term investment as well. Those are some key points that I think are important during consultation with anyone, but specifically when we're dealing with more mature women. They have already probably in the past tried quite a few things and they've never really found a real solution. So being able to offer them from an educational perspective, as you in the treatment room being the authority, giving them the information they need to know that they can have a long term investment with you, and that self care throughout the entirety of their journey with hormones and menopausal stage of life is really important. It's not just where they're getting the results from with skincare. Of course, that's the name of our game, especially with Circadia, right? But we're also creating a full experience, and self care isn't just for their skin, it's a whole mind, body, and soul experience. So when you get into the skin analysis and you're kind of dabbling through your consultation a little bit, you've cleansed up the skin and now you're wrapping up that consultation and doing your skin analysis, I want you to ask some important questions. What their cycle history looks like, based on what you're seeing in the skin. If you're seeing that loss of elasticity, you're seeing some hyperpigmentation that maybe they put down as their primary concern, but they haven't experienced the pigmentation before. What are some certain symptoms? And you can even ask the question of, do you typically run hot? Because if you do, I'm happy to turn my bed warmer off, things like that. Or even maybe instead of using warm or hot towels, we're going to use room temperature or cold towels today. Asking that question and usually getting the answer of no, I'm okay, or yes, I love the nice warm towels. But if they're experiencing hot flashes, they're going to just outright tell you like they have hot flashes, and you may induce one with a warm bed or those hot towels. Things like sleep disruption are really important to talk about as well, because, of course, your sleep is highly dependent on your circadian rhythms and vice versa. But your hormones play a huge role in having balanced hormones as well as your balanced circadian rhythms. So if one hormone is out of whack, the others are probably behind it to some degree. Finding a balance right there in the middle is important, and that's where hormone replacement therapy can come into play. I highly recommend having a doctor that specializes in women's health for a referral for you in your back pocket. I will arguably say that it is just as important to have a doctor like that as it is a derm to refer your clients to. Because if you have someone that's coming to you often who is struggling to find a doctor that works with them well or listens to them or sees what their side effects and their symptoms truly are and they're really trying to help can be difficult. So having someone that you work hand in hand with is going to add another level of value for you to the client as well as referrals. Because if you send this client out to this doctor, they have a really great experience. They're going to tell their girlfriends and their family and their sister and their cousins that this great esthetician or this great practitioner had this doctor on file and for a referral for me. And I found a really great opportunity to start bettering my life. And that's going to be a referral system for you right then and there. Once you get that assessment done, you're going to be able to make a true decision on a treatment plan for that day, as well as following through on your treatment plans in the future. Now, understanding what those lifestyle triggers and just external triggers in general can be for menopausal clients is also important because having a note of those medications, knowing what their diet is, talking about that and saying, have you found any patterns in your diet that may be in correlation to patterns that you're seeing in elsewhere in your life? It can be hard sometimes to navigate and walk that fine line, right? Because if we're not a nutritional coach or a specialist there, we aren't necessarily given the green light to speak on what those suggestions may be like. But opening up that conversation and putting the idea in their hands that they have the opportunity to do a food journal and there may be some things in their diet that is causing inflammatory responses or creating a more havoc on their skin, that's going to be the way to go that I usually recommend. Sleep patterns too, that you can absolutely deep dive into circadian rhythms and explain to them that yes, your body has circadian rhythms, but your skin actually has its own circadian rhythm clock as well. So having the opportunity to have that education to explain to them and say, your nighttime routine, maybe instead of doing that after dinner and you've got everybody to bed, do it as soon as you get home from work before you even start dinner. So you have that routine done and you've already started that down regulation and de-stress opportunity for your body, because you may still be going a million miles a minute up here. But once you get into the habit of doing your down regulation routine, your body starts to get into the pattern of down regulating itself. So by the time you get into bed, your hormones are starting to do their job, or the hormone replacement therapy is starting to get in there and help your body do its job to start to down regulate and make that natural melatonin as well. Okay, so we're going to get into products, we're going to get into the actual protocol. However, before we do that, I do want to give you guys some tips for learning more about menopause if you want to. Of course, based on Circadia, and we have the course, but I am a big advocate for audiobooks. The new Menopause by Mary Claire Haber is a really good one. I can also put that in the chat as well here later. And there was a podcast episode that was released a little bit ago from the Diary of a CEO, specifically the episode titled Hormone and Fertility Experts. There is about, I'd say, almost an hour, 45 minutes of just about menopause and how it affects the body from a doctor's perspective. It also gives you guys a little bit of information too on how to find a doctor that you can work with. Of course, they're speaking more of like us talking to our clients, right? But it's still good information for you to have a helpful kind of path to find a doctor that might work well with you in your practice. So, behind the name, balance and restore, we are looking at a more calming, helpful, happy, hydrating type of protocol here. And that's for multiple reasons. While we, yes, have great peels, you can have some downtime with that Mandeli Clear and Vitamin A Accelerator. However, not everyone, one, wants that downtime, or two, can tolerate that yet. So, this is a great protocol that shows you great results without having to be aggressive, and you get some balancing and restoring happening, and it's a great baseline, I feel like. However, it can be built upon, which is one of my favorite things about Circadia protocols. 99% of them can be built up to being more aggressive if necessary and brought back down too. What I love about this protocol is the absolute magic behind it. It's not just going to be something that helps you right then and there. Oh gosh, the client came in and she used her retin-A the night before, or the skin barrier is just looking really taxed and we need to take some time to rest and restore it. However, long-term use of this protocol is going to give you the results you're looking for laxity, for hydration, for just bringing life back to the skin as well, while creating reduction of irritation and no true injury to the skin. Okay, so 5 things that are super important to note when you start talking about this type of protocol with the client. So, hormone responsive formulation. As I mentioned earlier, we see a huge depletion in that collagen loss. It's going to help because of the estrogen decline, but this treatment's going to help slow that 30% of collagen loss and 50% of the lipid depletion in those first years of menopause. We can slow that down. If we can slow that down to any rate, even just by doing this treatment alone on a monthly basis, is going to make such a difference, especially for your clients who are really in tune with their body and they know that menopause is coming. They're a few months into perimenopause. Their skin is starting to be super dry. They're seeing the difference in the changes, and they've started to come see you before it gets too aggressive. But on the other hand, you still get really good results if they've already gone so far as to, 25 to almost 30% of that collagen loss already. We can work that back up. We can get that collagen built back up. It's just going to take a little bit of time. There are a couple of different options for exfoliation in this protocol, which you guys will see here in just a few minutes. But there is the lactic acid gel peel as one option for exfoliation. And with that being something that is so versatile, that is a star ingredient in my treatment room, and mainly for the hydration aspect. I live in a really dry climate, so when you put dry climate and menopausal skin together, you get basically the Sahara Desert, and you need things that are going to help naturally build the hydration, the ceramides, those aquaporin channels. Things like aquaporin hydrating cream will be helpful for that, to allow the skin and the body itself to create that system again and make those changes within itself, rather than being a crutch for the skin that either becomes a plateau or the skin just gets way too used to it and you have to continue to add and add and add. If we can make the skin stronger and the barrier stronger and restore things by utilizing lactic acid and other ingredients like amino complex and those protein builders, that's going to be really the direction you want to go in to creating a healthier skin overall, rather than just creating crutches for it. Now, the other aspect to this protocol in particular, utilizing the snow algae and spirulina and the cooling aspects of the ingredients, is because of those cytokines. So the cytokines and estrogen, they go basically hand in hand. When that starts to deplete, the estrogen does, those cytokines start to go crazy. When you have a depletion in that estrogen, then your cortisol gets to just basically live free reign in the body and it's not allocated correctly. And that can create inflammatory responses in the body throughout, specifically in the skin as well. That's where you might start to see a little bit more acne and lesions, even if they're in their 40s and 50s and they've never had acne before in their life. This is a huge role that this plays. So, if we can get those cytokines in a better position, have them acting as anti inflammatory again, as they do when the estrogen is in a better place and more balanced, we're going to see less inflammatory responses in the skin, and then we're going to see less inflammaging as well. And of course, your circadian rhythms. As I mentioned earlier, very important to touch on that with your client so they understand and know that your skin, one, has its own circadian rhythm clock, but that your circadian rhythms are incredibly important for balancing and getting full body health back on track. Again, regulating that cortisol. Of course, we know that, especially in the last few years, skin isn't just skin, it's whole body. What we do is not just skin deep. We help people build confidence again. I highly recommend talking to other estheticians all the time about this type of thing if you are an advocate for that. But for me, usually I call estheticians and practitioners confidence healers because what we do isn't that skin deep. It really does mean so much more when a client can come in and yes, they see the difference in their skin, but they feel better. They feel better about themselves. They feel better about just going out and not having a full face of makeup on or any makeup at all because they feel good in their own skin. I was speaking about that on in Atlanta in our mixology class yesterday about vulnerability. We find that clients come to us in a very vulnerable state, right? They're finally opening up about a huge insecurity of theirs or something that they just have felt so defeated on. So, having something like the Balance and Restore facial to offer a full body experience where they see and feel the change in their skin. You've asked the open ended questions in your consultation. You have the education to back yourself up and the foundation laid for you to create that long term goal for the client. They feel that they're heard, valued, and seen. 75 million women are either in menopause, are in that one day, or they're perimenopause, or they're in that one day of menopause, or they're postmenopause. That is so many of us, right? And a ton of us are offering anti aging treatments, or we're targeting that ideal client who's looking for an anti aging treatment. That's who our golden client is for a lot of us. It's what we specialize in. So, being able to offer a solution for all of these women who are going through this change in their life is imperative. At least having the education based on how to navigate that consultation, that alone is your foundation there. And then building on top of that to have this great protocol and all of the amazing assets that come with it as well to make your life so much easier. So, knowing how to identify menopausal skin and what the exposures are to it, first and foremost is knowing how to identify what estrogen decline looks like in the skin. And that's something that you're going to learn about more so. And then treating that lipid and barrier breakdown and some other good things. But the facial itself is something that I'm already, as soon as I get back in the treatment room, I'm doing it. I've been on the road for 4 days, but I'm so excited to do this. Even on my clients, I have a few on my book tomorrow that I'm excited to use this on because it's right up my alley. Gentle yet effective. You're creating change in the skin after just one treatment, but you get those long-term results as well. While it's designed to be hydrating and brightening and strengthening, you can also customize this. There are literally options within the written protocol to customize it more so to your client and whatever they need. And you, of course, can add or take away as needed, especially in that masking portion. But when you start to include powerful ingredients without having to have 17 or 20 different products to create a protocol, that's when the clients start to realize that you know what you're doing and you've got an amazing line that you're using on their face. Because things like vitamin C, those calming peptides, and supporting the collagen and elastin in the skin, especially when clients are saying, I just don't like how dull my skin looks or the laxity issues. They keep repeating those things. Those are key words for you. Being able to ask those open ended questions is important, but being able to be an active listener is almost even more important because they're going to tell you so many things that they don't even realize that they're explaining to you as they're just talking through conversation, right? So, having the ability to pick up on those types of conversations and those context clues, so you can then repeat back to them what their concerns are and how you're going to change that by explaining what ingredients are in these protocols. And this one in particular, that's going to touch on your circadian rhythms. It's going to touch on that laxity. It's going to touch on inflammation and explain that to them as well. So, as I mentioned, the lactic acid gel peel is one of the exfoliation options in this protocol, but you're also going to be utilizing the amino acid powder, the calming powder, snow algae, and circadian time balancing mask. All of these things work synergistically together to get to the result you're looking for, but it's really cool to watch how they build on each other and you can see the change in the skin. One of the main things that I would love to recommend for you to do, especially when you first start using this protocol, is to take before and afters. Even if it's just to show the client at their end of their treatment so they can see the true change and the plumping that happens and the hydration that happens. Those immediate changes are what really create either a lot of referrals right away or an instant rebook. They want to get on the schedule before they leave the room. So, lipid and barrier breakdown, this is important for you to know because if you can't truly identify what the ceramide declining looks like or what dry skin truly looks like and how that correlates with reactivity, you may not be able to explain to the client, hey, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, and this is why I'm choosing this protocol for you today, or why I'm choosing this home care product for you to take home today. So, really beefing up on your skin analysis is super important. But how menopause is actually doing this is because it's decreasing that sebum production. Yes, we hear as we age, our oil production goes down, but why? It's because our hormones are changing. Everything is fluctuating, and we're in this state where the body can't decide which way it wants to go, especially when you start including hormone replacement therapy and everything is so sensitive. The body is so sensitive to changes. The testosterone is going to be doing different things as well, even though it may not be a quote unquote prevalent hormone to be talking about during menopause because estrogen and progesterone are our main concerns. The testosterone is also a playing component to this. So it could be one of the reasons why your client is experiencing more acne versus feeling super dry. You have to be able to identify that, right? And where that transepidermal water loss comes into play as well, they can be having a spike in testosterone or they're fluctuating with that with hormone replacement therapy, but they're still so dehydrated. They need the hydration from things like snow algae and circadian time balancing mask. While estrogen is helpful for regulating that oil production, it's also going to support the creation of ceramides, which really is a crucial part of getting that bounce back to the skin as well. Some of those ingredients that we are talking about today, the lactic acid, snow algae extract, but also cocoa enzyme. So cocoa enzyme and the raspberry enzyme are your other exfoliation options in this protocol. And as we age, we also know that that cell turnover is going to slow down as well. Yes, we've been hearing this for forever. That's why we love switch as well, because we want to get to a certain age before we start doing that cell turnover and accelerated things like vitamin A to create that accelerated proliferation and cell turnover there. But your estrogen is a huge part of that natural repair cycle. While it's also a part of your natural anti inflammatory with those cytokines, it's also going to be huge for barrier health, stability, and just balance throughout the body and that internal clock of balance as well. So when that barrier starts to get weak, when that time clock starts to get out of whack and they're not sleeping as well and the skin is showing it, it's going to create more tired and dull looking skin. So, what can we do to go in and help that? Things like vitamin A, things like the revitosite complex, but also things like the lactic acid gel peel. But from a more healing perspective, which is important, we always want to address inflammatory first before we go in with anything more aggressive, which is why I love that there are options for the protocol for exfoliation as well. Your amino acids and your basically building blocks for collagen here, that basically goes out the window when estrogen starts to get depleted. You're unable to have that collagen that's stable and steady and there for you and gives you that bounce back to your skin. So, how can we help clients build that back into their skin from an external perspective as well as internal when they're working with the hormone replacement therapy? Allantoin is one of my favorite ingredients for calming as well. It calms irritation almost immediately, but it also is going to help with fragile skin. It's going to make a more balanced and safe space for the skin to heal itself. So, these are just some key points that I want you to remember. I always say, and if you've heard me speak in any realm or on even on the Circadia Educational Forum on Facebook, not ignoring your inflammatory factors is extremely important, but especially when you're dealing with clients in a menopausal state, because when you have the opportunity to address inflammation, you're going to have the opportunity to address so many other concerns as well, whether it's redness in the cheeks, some acne lesions, inflammaging, even pigmentation. I do want to note as well that prioritizing sun protection for everybody, but especially our clients who are coming to us regularly for more treatments and clients going through menopause. The age range that we typically see that happen is another age range that we typically see more SSRIs or antidepressants within that medication range that our clients are seeing. And that has to do with our hormones. I would love for you to do a little bit more digging on that, or if you're interested, I'm happy to talk more with you on that as well. But the photosensitivity that comes from these medications, especially paired with treatments, can create more pigmentation than we'd ever would like to see as far as irregularity goes in the skin. So, making sure you're talking about sun protection and barrier is also important. Sun protection and barrier also go hand in hand. Getting that photosensitivity taken care of and protected does help the barrier. And also, don't underestimate the power of your circadian rhythms. As I mentioned earlier, I've been on my own hormone journey, and the change in my skin because of that has been crazy. But the amount of sleep that I'm getting and how dull and tired my skin looked then versus now is an absolutely insane. So don't underestimate that. Use your circadian time balancing mask a ton. Okay, so now we're gonna hop into the protocol itself. It is gonna be level one. It's gonna touch on many different skin types, but specifically created for your menopausal and more mature skin types as well. Easy peasy, 60 minutes every 4 weeks as needed. However, I will say if you go with the cocoa or raspberry enzyme, you could do this bi weekly. And these are all the products and supplies that you get if you do purchase the bundle. And there is so much that you get. And as you guys can see here, that exfoliation option one is going to be that lactic acid gel peel. Utilizing just as you have in the past, leaving it on for 5 to 7 minutes, gently manipulating, removing, and neutralizing. I do typically recommend neutralizing twice because that's just how I roll with peels for sure. And you'll see the new star of our cleanser show, the Nourish Cream Cleanser, is being utilized with some mixology as well, and that second cooling cleanse option. Now, your enzymes here are your second exfoliation option, either utilizing the cocoa enzyme or raspberry. If your client comes in and is super sensitive, barriers fully impaired, and needs very gentle exfoliation, I highly recommend going with the cocoa enzyme. And then you'll go into your massage, infusion, and then your masking options here, hitting the alpha gel mask, amino complex, and calming powder. So we're touching on all different things here, right? So we're touching on the collagen and elastin building with the amino acid powder, as well as inflammaging and calming any irritation or inflammation in the skin that's visible to the eye or under the surface with the calming powder, and then layering snow algae and circadian time balancing on top of that. You can do massage with this if you'd like, do some lymphatic drainage, use some gua sha, maybe some cold globes. That would be a great option with this as well. Removing with either a warm or cool towel, infusing again, and then finishing products of vitamin C, chronocalm, post peel balm, and light day SPF. And there is a little QR code there for you guys. Right, I'm gonna hop it on over to Jake.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Savannah. And I'm going to share my screen here for a second and so I don't have to have her advance my slides because that's always fun. So we are going to start. Let's see.
There we go.
I think this will start from the right spot. Oh, too much going on. You see my screen?
No.
Let's see. We'll try that one more time. Let's see here. Can you see my screen now?
There we go. Got it.
Sounds good. All right, let's get the slideshow going. Oh, it's not going to let me do it from the beginning. Okay, so I got some things to show you, but first I wanted to just, so Savannah, that's fantastic information. Right now I want you guys to remember that you've seen the emails. Go get the course on Circadia U from Christine Clinton and Joanne Barry. This was like an amazing course that we put together. Savannah's done an awesome job today. But if you want to go deeper and you want to dive deeper on this, definitely go get this. And there's also some other reasons why you're going to want to do this, which I'll get to in just a minute. But definitely go take the course, sign up for it. Remember, if you're part of the accelerator program, you can get our paid courses for free. So there's a little plug there. But today I want to talk to you about utilizing pre-made marketing for our signature facials, specifically Balance and Restore today. So with every one of our signature protocols, if you haven't seen this, you get what we call our digital success toolkit. Okay, has the step-by-step instructions. A lot of the same slides and content you've seen today from Savannah are in there. But my favorite part, because I'm in marketing, is the marketing stuff and how to help you put people in the chair and start getting that stuff, this menopause facial out there. So with every protocol of the signature facial, you get basically 15 marketing videos, social media swipe overs, printable marketing assets, and more. I'm just going to open this up for you. The link is on the landing page or the page where you buy the product. But here's all the resources that you get. Okay, here's the actual protocol. Here's an e-learning deck that you can get into, and with a lot of those things. And then also, my favorite part are the images, printed assets, and especially the videos. I'm going to show over the videos real quick. But you come into these videos, and we have different sizes, landscape for your website, vertical videos for social, and you come and right here we have at least 4 consumer facing videos that you can use. We've taken the language, right, and made it more consumer friendly, why they would want it. So I can go in and download a consumer sales video or open it, and I can put this on my socials to drive traffic to me. So the call to action is to book a facial with you. It's not to go do anything with Circadia. It's the one built for you to put on your social media to drive bookings for this facial. So and pretty awesome.
Isn't a
Well put together
decline.
video.
It's a
I'm not going to
redesigned.
the whole thing.
Balance and Restore is the intelligent
Gonna
facial
stop
that
silent while you can kind of watch what it does. And anyway, you've got at least 30 marketing assets you could put on social to help drive some traffic into your spa with that stuff. Same with on the uh, images, tons of fun lifestyle images, things on products, before and after type things, everything there that you can possibly want to help build your own stuff as well. If you want to make your own social content but use Circadia assets, those are all there for you. And the last thing I wanted to just dive in here and show you was, we have printable assets, things you can print out, put inside your spa to help you talk about it a little bit more and prescribe and sell this facial. Now, those are really awesome. You can dive in and see those. That's on Image Relay. If you don't have an account for Image Relay, you can just go, if you go to circadia.com and you go to our tools and resources, and you go to the where'd it go? It's hidden. I'm going to put it up there. It's the marketing resources tab right there, and then it'll take you to Image Relay. It does take about 2 days to get access if you don't have access to Image Relay, but this stuff is all available for you to get and promote there. Now, I want to talk a little bit about promotion and how to do that. I always say there's 3 levels of marketing these facials. Number one is good organic posting. Anybody can do that. Most of you should be doing that anyway. Take those images, post them. Level 2 would be boosting those posts if you want to put a little bit of money behind them. And then level 3 would be running simple ads for those in an area. So level 1, organic, pretty straightforward. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's a good start, but just know that it's a limited reach, right? If you have 1,000 people following you, just the nature of today's world is that it's kind of pay to play. So if you post something, probably only 10 to 15% of your followers will see any given post, which is why you either need to post more often, or you can move on to boosting posts to make sure that you get beyond your organic reach. And I usually suggest, if you're going to do this, target like a 10-mile radius. If you serve a 10-mile radius around your spa, spend $1 to $3 a day just boosting whatever you're promoting, right? It could be the menopause facial, it could be something else, but this is a way that you can get deeper penetration in that area. And then third, if you have the time or the interest in learning how to run ads, you can definitely go and run ads, which will be even a little bit better than boosting your posts. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this today, but I did want to talk about one of the really exciting things about this is that what we're starting at Circadia is for our Business Plus Accelerator members. We are actually going to start to run these leads in your area as well. So we're going to be doing a national advertising campaign for the menopause facial with the call to action to go find one of our partners in the Business Accelerator listing to do the Balance and Restore facial. So if you're already part of the accelerator program, that's great. You'll be in that mix already. You don't need to do anything. These ads are getting ready to go out live next week. And then we're going to be doing a nationwide campaign on this. We're going to do it for the other facials as well, the Luxe Lift, the Calming Facial, those ones. Really excited about this. And so we're taking some of that ad strategy too. But if you layer that with your own posting and boosting, you're just going to get a double down effect where you're going to be able to be the person in your area that people know that you do that for. And just a little case study on this. We took a spa and we did some marketing for a signature facial, and we spent about $350 and we got 50 leads, people that were interested in learning more about the facial. They called all those leads and they booked 10 facials out of that. It is something that you can control your marketing using the marketing assets that we created for you. And it's a really, really simple way to to get more clients if you don't have that. But posting referrals obviously are always the best way to grow. But we want to make sure that we're providing you with the content that you can use to get out there and do the marketing for these signature facials and create some buzz and some excitement for you. So the two takeaways today are number one, you should go get the course, the Balance and Restore course on Circadia University. If you go to Circadia University right now and you go click on Advanced Certifications, it's right here at the top. You definitely want to grab that. The other cool thing about this is if you go through this program and or buy the course and go through it, you'll also get a Menopause little badge on your partner retail locator. So when people are looking for somebody, they'll see that little badge that you've gone through the menopause course. And then also, if you haven't signed up for the accelerator, that might be something you might want to do because you get that course for free if you're signed up for the accelerator. More details on our website on the accelerator landing page as well for that. But really, this is a huge need, as you saw from Savannah's education. And when you watch this course, you're gonna just your mind will be blown. Christine and Joanne do an amazing job, and it will really set you up to have success servicing this market. It is a huge market, and it is something that if you do a really good job with, the referrals are just going to come pouring in for this. It's something that's needed. And so hopefully this fills a gap in your spa. And that's it for me. Savannah, anything else that I missed?
I don't think so. Genuinely, all I can say is if you know me, you know I'm honest, sometimes too honest. And I think that all of the skin specialist programs that Circadia offers are very important, but this one is such a hot topic. If you have to choose one right now and you have to budget in some education, this is the one to budget.
Yeah. We will, I know there's a lot of questions about will this be recorded? We will absolutely put out a recording, a replay of this and in the next couple of days. But if you have additional questions, go get the menopause course. A lot of that will be probably answered there. Or if you have product specific questions, feel free to reach out to your account manager and get squared away there. And anyway, we hopefully this will help you guys grow and we'll see you guys soon. More information to come. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody.